do anything. And then he's in Detroit shining. It's like, well, that's what happens when you have the organization the Lions have kind of turned into, and the coaching staff. I mean, you're getting the most out of these players. So it's credit to them as well.
This is clearly the former Bears collective today. That's what we're doing. Montgomery and AQM.
Yeah, Ben Johnson.
I went up to Muhammad in the locker room yesterday, and he's a fairly reserved dude, a little tough to crack in some of the interviews. And so I thought I would try a different approach. And I was like, man, I just want to say thank you. And he's like, oh, what about? And I go, you're making me look so effing smart right now. I was like, I spent the entire off season like buttering up the idea that like this guy's legit and dropping this stat that I've repeatedly hit on, that his pass rush pressure rate was just a shade below Zadarius Smith. And so, I put a disclaimer on that. We don't know what it looks like in a bigger workload, but it was not like he was playing 10, 12 snaps a game. It was 30, 40 snaps a game last year in several of those games. And so I had every reason to believe that it would port. And I'm not gonna lie, I didn't think it was gonna be this good. But he's playing out of his mind right now. And it's a really nice skill set combination. He rushes with power. He's got enough bend and, tremendous amount of motor, hustle, whatever you want to call it, grit, if that fits your Detroit vernacular. And it works really, really well opposite Hutch. What he doesn't have that you lost or have temporarily lost with Davenport is, Muhammad's not the best run defender. He's not as stout setting an edge, but they're working around that. But in terms of pass rush, he is giving them everything they needed and more.
Yeah, he has. And Justin, you were on that early, so I'll give you your credit here. I'll give you your flowers. With
makes
Muhammad,
up for our Arnold miss.
For now, I'm not off there. I will say, when you watch that game against the Ravens, I thought it was the structure of the defense was perfect. We'll get to the spies in a little bit, I'm sure, but Muhammad's job was pretty easy in that one, because when you have one guy in Hutchinson who's getting, doubled and chipped basically every play, and then you have linebackers that are blitzing, or at least in as a spy, kind of watching Lamar, you just have to wait for something to happen. And not to say that Al-Quadin wasn't, producing out there, because he was, but a lot of times it's like, hey, go win a one-on-one. That's like what they've talked about all summer. It's like, we have guys that can win those one-on-one rushes, and they just have to go out and do it. We know that they're capable of it. We just have to see it. We did not see it in week 1 against the Packers. Packers, to their credit, had a good game plan. They have a good offensive line over there, I would say. So, I mean, you just need these guys to execute the way that Dan Campbell and these guys know they can execute. And he said it pretty much every opportunity he's gotten, whether it's been in training camp, during the regular season, on 97.1, like, hey, we like our guys. Like, you can keep asking me this question all you want, but we feel like we have guys that can produce when the moment arrives. And what a moment for that to happen. On Monday Night Football, you're 1-1. If you drop that game, you're 1-2. People say you can't beat good teams. Like, I'm sure all those narratives would have been floating out there. And it's coming on the heels of Marcus Davenport landing on IR. So imagine if they didn't produce the way they produced in that game. Like, there would have been a lot of national talk about whether they have enough. And so for him to step up the way that he did, and to get those, some cleanup sacks, but also him winning those rushes with regularity. I think he's 4th in the NFL right now in defensive splash play rate, which is funny because I think Myles Garrett is right after him at 5th, and Will Anderson Jr., who's playing out of his mind, is 3rd in the NFL right now. So that, again, not the largest sample size, but he's doing exactly what they need him to do, and he's going out there and producing for them, and that's all they can ask for.
First, we got to hear from our friends over at Sleeper, another proud sponsor of the program. So here's a quick word from them, and then we'll be right back.
Sleeper is the #1 fantasy sports app. It pays to know sports. Pick more or less on top players. Your first pick is on us, so start winning now. Play in Texas, Georgia, Minnesota, and 27 more states. Pick anytime across all sports, pregame or live. Over 10 million players are already on Sleeper. Make your picks count. Score up to 1,000 times your cash. Join today. Get up to $100 credit using the code HMA. Call your shot on Sleeper. Download now.
We like our guys, by the way, is what Campbell meant when he said we're good in the quote that has been entirely misconstrued
Don't
by
get us started
like
on that,
95% of this Lions fan base as some kind of slight to Zadarius Smith. he was endorsing the guys they have on the roster after having been asked about Za'Darius. And so it was framed as a dismissal of Za'Darius Smith. Let's just be clear, it wasn't that. I feel compelled to try and swat down this like viral quote that has taken on its own life form. I mean, I know I talked a lot about AQM last week, so I'll let you guys have your say on him here. I thought as part of this defensive game plan, Derek Barnes was crucial. I thought this was as well as we've seen Barnes play in a single game in his Lions tenure. I thought he was playing pretty close to this level before he was hurt last year. It felt like he was stepping into the role in the Lions defense that Kelvin Shepherd is putting on him now, where he's not just an off-ball linebacker or an on-ball linebacker. He's even playing a little bit in the slot as a big nickel at times. But he was obviously one of those spies they used against Lamar, and his sack was a great illustration of the value in spying. I think on his sack, it was both he and Anzalone who had both drop back into coverage as spies on Lamar. And once that pocket collapsed and the coverage held up in the back end, Anzalone and Barnes just surged into action. And it was a shoestring tackle that Barnes made on Lamar that probably saved a first down scramble and forced the Ravens to kick a field goal. You know, we heard Kelvin Shepherd today endorse Barnes in a way that at least he hadn't told us before. When he took this D coordinator job, sounds like one of the first things he told Brad Holmes, as he told us, was, I have to have that player. And, I need Derek Barnes as part of this defense. And while the numbers last year might not have reflected it in the 2.5 games that he played, the Lions felt pretty confident that he was mastering multiple roles within this defense. And all of those roles were on display on Monday night. And, I was asking Derek about it today. What does that mean to you when you hear the coordinator go to the GM and say, I need this player? And he was like, I just got to prove him right. I have to prove him right. And it feels like with each game, he's beginning to do that. The other thing I want to touch on with the pass rush is that the coverage really was great in the second half. And I know one corner in particular came under fire, a lot of fire in the first half for good reason. The other corner was terrific all game long. DJ Reed had a really difficult assignment on Boston College product, Zay Flowers. But, they assigned him that task last week. And they asked him, you got to take Zay Flowers out of this game. And that is exactly what DJ Reed did. And Zay Flowers, like as DJ Reed told me yesterday, is the entire engine to their passing attack. They use him like really in every way imaginable. He's the explosive weapon. He's the drive starting weapon. He's their screen weapon. So when he was watching film, like it was a lot to process and to prepare for. But we measure defensive backs, I think, sometimes too frequently based on passes defended and interceptions. The passes that don't come your way are maybe even more telling than those that do. And when you look at Zay Flowers' performance on Monday night, I think he only had 3 targets. And I think only 1 or 2 of those came with DJ Reed on him. And that is a testament more than anything else to how well he was covered by DJ Reed. And just one more point on this, DJ Reed gave a lot of credit to Dom Lovett, who played the role of Zay Flowers on the scout team offense last week. And, Zay Flowers and Dom Lovett, similar skill sets, similar body types. And Dom Lovett even said today, like he spent some time watching Zay Flowers film last week to try and give DJ Reed the best possible look that he could in practice. And when he went out and watched Reed eliminate Flowers on Monday night, Lovett was like, oh, hell yeah. I did that.